Here on 2, our sports coverage at 11:35 comes from Sydney as Richie Bernard comments on highlights of the third day's play in the Bicentennial cricket test. This is BBC2, where we come now to this evening's Screen 2 production, which is a dramatised biography of the brilliant but controversial artist Stanley Spencer. Juliet Stevenson and Sarah Berger play his wives, and Anton Lesser is Stanley. If you enjoyed that Screen 2 production, then you may be interested to see what Ludovic Kennedy's guests have to say about it in next Sunday's edition of Did You See at 9. And next week's Screen 2 is set in Czechoslovakia in 1952, where for some life is hardly worth living. The grass looks far greener on the other side, and the benefits of escaping to the west seem to outweigh the great risks involved. Border is next Sunday's Screen 2 at 10. Tomorrow evening, Radio 4 pays tribute to Trevor Howard in a repeat of the production in which he gave one of his finest performances. Peggy Ashcroft stars with Trevor Howard in The Father at 8:15 tomorrow night on Radio 4. There's cricket in a moment here on 2. First, here's a message from the London Weather Centre about severe weather in central southern England, London, the south east and East Anglia. Heavy rain now falling in places will last for several hours, and in view of present ground conditions is likely to lead to flooding in some areas. Strengthening winds will exceed 50 miles per hour in places, and some structural damage may occur. There's commentary on the fourth day's play in Sydney on Radio 3 now, and that'll continue until 6:55 in the morning. And there'll be highlights from the fourth day of the Bicentennial test to round off tomorrow evening's viewing here on 2 at 11:35. And it's an evening that begins here in England in a bygone age, with Katharine Hepburn playing the part of strong-willed Pamela, a lady who believes that women have their rights even in strict Victorian times. A woman rebels at 6. We have a couple more Popeye classics for you at 7:25. Then at 7:40, Barry Douglas introduces the music of one of the greatest classical pianists, Liszt. And later on at 10:15, the changing face of classical music is the subject of Split Screen. So-called new music can arouse strong passions in musicians and audiences alike. For some it's experimental and exciting. Others feel that to class it as music at all is an exaggeration. Both views are expressed at 10:15. Between the musical matters, there's Moonlighting at 9:30, in which David discovers Maddie's big secret. Before that, at 9, Clarence finds that money as well as his sight is running short. And earlier still, at 8:10, Horizon investigates the statistics that say that you're more likely to die young if you're born into the working classes. Can this be put down to the way people behave, or is it the result of poverty and deprivation? The question is explored in Horizon. And that, with Newsnight at 10:45, is Monday evening on 2. For now, we've reached the end of today's proceedings. Radio 2 will keep you company throughout the night. So with the time at 8 minutes past midnight, this is Roseanne Macmillan wishing you a very good night from BBC2.